Sunshine. Is that satisfying?
It's hard to imagine now, but once upon a time the idea of a supergroup seemed as unlikely as getting rock stars to agree on anything besides their drink order. Yet somehow, the mid-1960s threw up a music scene so fertile and audacious that it dared to bring together the biggest egos, the greatest talents, and the most combustible personalities, all wrapped up in one precarious package. Enter Cream, the band that practically invented the concept and, naturally, imploded almost as soon as they'd perfected it.
Down to the crossroads, down out on my knees. To the violence of the sun.
To understand why Cream's arrival in 1966 was so remarkable, we have to remember how the music industry operated at the time. Band loyalty was everything, and the idea of musicians hopping between projects, much less joining forces with rivals, was almost unthinkable. Fans aligned themselves with their heroes in a tribal way, and the industry encouraged that. You were either a Stones person or a Beatles person. Clapton had found his niche as the blues virtuoso de jour, thrilling London's sweaty club circuit with the Yardbirds and later lending weight to John Mayall's Blues Breakers. He could have built an entire career off his reputation alone. Instead, he gambled it all. The idea for Cream came from Ginger Baker, a drummer so skilled that other drummers had no choice but to simply bow down to him. But Baker was no ordinary timekeeper. His style fused jazz's fluidity with a rock ferocity that made him utterly unique. He was also, as anyone who had worked with him would tell you, a man with a short fuse and a long memory for grudges. If Ginger was in the room, you knew it, recalled one of his contemporaries. Baker wanted to form a power trio, something lean and dynamic that would push boundaries. Naturally, he turned to Clapton. Clapton was intrigued but wary. He agreed to join on one condition. The group needed a bassist who could match their ambition. Clapton had someone specific in mind.
So really, that you feel that the type of things that people like Mayall, who are playing the blues, and yourself, and Cream, are nothing but kind of a prejudice gap between the real thing.
Socially, musically, no. There's something else happening.
It's a completely different type.
And also the reasons for why we're doing it.
Jack Bruce, whose technical proficiency on the bass was matched only by his skills as a vocalist and composer. There was just one problem. Baker and Bruce despised each other. Their feud had begun years earlier in the Graham Bond organization, where their on-stage brilliance was often overshadowed by backstage fistfights.
Funny thing, it's almost tragic in a way, is that by the time the band had really made it, it had already broken up. You know, that was the terrible thing.
Baker hated Bruce with a passion that bordered on obsession. When Clapton floated Bruce's name, Baker was so enraged that he nearly crashed the car they were driving in. And yet somehow he agreed. Thus, Cream was born, not from camaraderie, but from creative friction. The trio quickly began rehearsing, and the results were electrifying. Their early sessions were a revelation, a blend of blues, rock, and improvisational jazz that no one else was attempting. It was like lighting a fire, Clapton later said. We all knew we were onto something. Their debut album, Fresh Cream, arrived in 1966 and set the tone for what was to come. While it didn't immediately redefine the genre, it offered tantalizing glimpses of the band's potential. Tracks like I'm So Glad showcased their ability to take traditional blues and supercharge it with relentless energy. But it was on stage where Cream truly came alive. Their live performances became the stuff of legend, with extended jams that often stretched songs far beyond their recorded versions. Every night felt like a high-wire act, Bruce said. You didn't know where it was going, but you knew it was going somewhere extraordinary. It was their second album, Disraeli Gears, that catapulted Cream into the stratosphere. Released in 1967, it captured the psychedelic zeitgeist of the era while retaining the raw power of their blues roots. Songs like Sunshine of Your Love and Strange Brew became instant classics, their hypnotic riffs and surreal lyrics providing a soundtrack for a countercultural revolution. The album's cover, a kaleidoscopic explosion of color and imagery, became as iconic as the music itself. Clapton's guitar work was dazzling, but it was Bruce's vocals and Baker's drumming that elevated the album to masterpiece status. It wasn't just rock music, it was art, Clapton said. But with success came tensions. The very elements that made Cream so dynamic, its members' individual brilliance and strong personalities, also made it a ticking time bomb. Bruce and Baker's animosity, which had simmered during their early years, reached boiling point during the recording of their third album, Wheels of Fire. Fights became so frequent that producers had to schedule their sessions separately. "We couldn't even be in the same room sometimes," Bruce admitted.
Talk through rehearsal at Ginger's house in Neasden, and those two had a sort of argument right away.
Clapton, caught in the middle, tried to mediate, but found himself increasingly disillusioned. "I felt like a referee at a boxing match," he said. Despite the chaos, Wheels of Fire was a triumph. Released in 1968, it became the world's first platinum-selling double album and featured some of their most ambitious work. The live disc captured the band at their improvisational peak, while studio tracks like White Room and Politician demonstrated their ability to craft intricate, emotionally resonant songs. But by the time the album hit the shelves, the band was already on the verge of collapse. The breaking point came during their farewell tour later that year. While fans packed arenas to witness what would become some of the most celebrated performances in rock history, the atmosphere within the band was toxic. Bruce and Baker's arguments escalated to the point where physical violence seemed inevitable. "It wasn't just about music anymore. It was personal," Baker said. Clapton, exhausted and disillusioned, decided he'd had enough. The tour concluded with a pair of sold-out shows at London's Royal Albert Hall, marking the end of Cream's brief but extraordinary run. Their final album, Goodbye, released in 1969, felt like a bittersweet coda. While it contained flashes of brilliance, it was clear that the band's heart wasn't in it anymore. Still, Cream's legacy was secure. In just over 2 years, they had redefined what a rock band could be, combining technical virtuosity with raw emotional power in a way that had never been done before. What's remarkable about Cream isn't just their music, it's their influence. In their wake came a wave of supergroups, from Blind Faith, featuring Clapton and Baker, to Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, and Led Zeppelin. The template they established, bringing together established musicians to create something greater than the sum of its parts, became a blueprint for countless bands that followed. And yet, for all their impact, Cream remains something of a paradox, a band whose brilliance was matched only by their dysfunction, whose greatest strength, their individual genius, was also their undoing. "We were like a shooting star," Bruce said, "bright, brilliant, and over far too soon." Decades later, the band reunited for a series of shows at the Royal Albert Hall in 2005, offering fans a chance to witness their magic one last time. The performances were a reminder of what made Cream so special, and a poignant acknowledgement of what had been lost. Baker, reflecting on the band's legacy, summed it up perfectly. "We didn't just play music, we made history."